Hey, I'm Dan, and this is the Cool Content Club, the show where every week I talk to a different creative pro about a piece of content they think is cool, and then we talk about why. This week, we have Elana Frankel, who's a creative director, author, director of films and documentaries, and all-around genius. Let's go! Cool Content Club.
Let's get into it. Elana is the first ever member of the Cool Content Club.
First of all, I've never been the
excited.
first member of anything, so this is a moment for me as well.
We, the team, are very honored to have you. What is content?
Oh, am I supposed to answer that?
Yeah, what is content?
What is content? That's a really good question. It's based in storytelling. It's based in creating a narrative around something, someone, some experience. So it's creating something that is going to connect with one person, 20 people, 200,000 people, 2 billion people.
I've been getting kind of bummed out lately about like the contentification of everything, but when we think about it, like, you know, we all need to connect with each other, and we need to say like, this is how I feel. Does anybody else feel this way?
That part of the content definition is about sharing and shared experiences. Because, you know, while we all love to think of ourselves as original and unique, we do have collective consciousness. We are tethered to each other through shared experiences. And the nuances and the details might be different between you and I, but inevitably we are going to come together on something, and finding that connectivity is what sort of makes things go viral, because you feel like that's you feel like you're connected. I'm not alone, and that's sort of beautiful. I think what gets a little dicey is when there's so much content that you have a hard time, you're challenged finding that one moment where you're connected. It sort of is numbing. And I think that's sometimes how we get sort of cynical and sort of annoyed, especially when somebody keeps telling you they're a content creator, when in reality they're just telling stories.
Does the word content resonate with you as a way of framing creative output?
You know, I always hate a label. So the idea of sort of putting myself in this content box is kind of annoying to me. But at the same time, when I'm meeting someone new or when I'm in a group, it's a word that everybody kind of knows, so they feel like they get me. Because if I start explaining who I am, 20 minutes later, they're like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, you know what, I'm a content creator. And they're like, oh, okay.
When do you think it was that we started shifting from speaking about creative as being something more specific, like an ad or a film or a TV show or an article, and now we start saying we're making content? Do you think that language shift came from something specific?
I think technology. I think that technology has given everybody an opportunity to not only create content, but then share it. Because prior, there were very limited opportunities. There wasn't a lot of real estate for it. And you had to really be a part of a certain circle to get in there. And now, as technology has expanded our horizons and given us opportunity to share something with somebody around the other side of the world, like that's kind of annoying and incredible at the same time. The sort of collective, you know, consciousness of the world was like, oh, I can do that too.
Yeah, we get these little glimpses into what people think is worthy of putting a frame around.
I've realized that most people are weird. Like, I thought most people were just sort of like normal every day, you know, they just go about their business. Like, most people are weird.
Authenticity time.
The word authenticity is like thrown around as though it just means, oh, just make it look like somebody filmed it themselves. Like film it in a shittily lit apartment with a broken iPhone.
Yes, but I also think with brands in particular that the authenticity comes when you step back from the disconnect that you've been experiencing with brands for so long. So, for example, a couple of years ago, Tiffany's hired Ruba to be their creative director. And while Tiffany's had a very, very, very strong history in a certain image, the blue box, the idea of Tiffany's as high-end luxury, romance. She twisted it because she knew the real shopper, the person who's really walking in there are not those people. And she put in front of the camera a very different look, and it became very authentic. This is actually who's buying. And it's not a made up fantasy sort of brand identity that, a bunch of people have come up in a room. And I felt it very unique and different, and sort of a little bit scary, because for her, I know, when you're in a corporate situation like that, it's a little amazing, but it was beautiful to watch. It was beautiful to watch the evolution of her campaigns as she touched upon what is really going on behind the cash register, and not what's really going on in a boardroom or in an office or a conference room.
I have a question. Is this content?
So this is oh my God. Is this content? So I would need to ask the person who created it what their intention was before I answer whether or not it was content. Is it content to me? No. But my guess is that somebody somewhere was asked to create something in order to verify that the person on the other end of the phone or the computer was not a robot. And to that person, it's probably content. It's the content that gets you to verify that you're a human being and not a robot. I had come across this ad a while ago. I can't even remember how I found it. I'm not a coffee drinker. I gave up coffee like almost 25 years ago. But I did grow up with that incredibly annoying jingle from Folgers. The best part about waking up is Folgers in your cup.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
But when I saw this, I was so taken aback, and it was so different and shocking. It really played into embracing a bad reputation. It was so punk rock to me that I instantly fell in love. And, you put Joan Jett on anything and I'll be like, all right, I'll buy it.
Well, let's roll it. Awesome. That was so joyful.
It's joyful.
So unexpected.
Yeah, and you feel like these are the people that actually drink the coffee. These are the people who actually love the brand. And these are the people also in New Orleans who are so proud, people who work for the company who are so proud to be a part of that, 100 and whatever year experience they've been making coffee,
Yeah, I love also the filmmaking. They were able to make that interior of the supermarket feel the same, like, airiness of the daylight exteriors, and it's like it gets you out of that studio commercial lighting where everything's kind of all evenly lit. There's not a shadow in sight.
100%. And the quick cuts. add to that level of energy, and with the music layered on top, it adds to that sort of counterculture punk. And it's funny because the counterculture is harkening back to the sort of normal everyday. Like, it's funny how punk has become like the barbershop, the coffee shop, the guys sitting in the back of the pickup drinking coffee on the, at Folgers. It's every day, which becomes the punk, which I think is hysterical.
When I first watched this, I thought this was J.K. Simmons. I'm like, it's a weird cameo. But I love this transition here, especially because it's like, yeah, we put Folgers in a French press. You can do that. You can have whatever coffee you want, however you want to have it. And then
Exactly.
we zoom into
And
this
look at
beautiful
look at that video work. Look at that film work. This character, we've all been there. It's the morning, we're pouring our morning whatever, and getting in the car, singing, getting ready for work. Like, it's so relatable, and I love it. One more thing is this also consistent use of the color red throughout. There are these punches of red from the mug, right? From the mug, which is the Folgers color. You see it in the beginning, right? You see it in the beginning at the supermarket with all of them. Yeah, there you go. So we're establishing this red, and you see it throughout in these little like hits and accents, and then you see it in these big bold words that are sort of like in your face. Her glasses, like it's there, the bowl, the flower, like these little hits of red, which is so beautifully consistent and so thoughtful. And somebody needs to figure out who the set decorator was, because that also is an amazing, like, person that gets a little kudos there. So there's these little like subtleties that are really important, that really sort of are meaningful.
Pro tip:
making sure that every layer of what you're presenting is serving the story that you're telling. Like here, it's subliminal, but it's like making sure that every frame has either coffee or this red in it to reinforce that this is the brand, this is Folgers, it's embedded in this life that we're seeing.
Yeah, 100%. And God is in the details. It's like, that's where the red suspenders, it's always there and you can't unsee it now.
Any other tips you think people can take away from this for their storytelling?
I also think that it's important to tug at emotions.
Pro tip:
so whether the emotion is joy, whether it's fear, sadness, nostalgia, whatever the sort of feeling is, it needs to come through. And that's a combination of visual and words. And that's the combination of visual, words, music, whatever the combination of all of the things that you're putting together is, all of it needs to, at the end, provoke, evoke, and make sure that there's a level of connection, human connection, and emotion, for me, is the strongest. Like, you walk out of a documentary that I make feeling joyful, amazing. You walk out of a horror film feeling scared, amazing. Like, for me, the idea that no matter where I am, how old I am, or who I'm with, I will always think there's a shark in the ocean. That's just it. Like, I will always think Jaws is around. It's a great piece of, it's a great film. It's a great piece of content. Like, it sticks with you. So I think that that's the sort of thing that's needed to make sure that the content velcros to you. You want it to velcro to your audience. You want them to not only leave feeling something, but you want them to think about it. I'm thinking about this ad 3 years later, like when you called me or emailed me and said, hey, you want to do this? This is what came up in my head.
Yeah, seconds later, you sent this to me.
Because it sticks. You've gotta, there are things that have stuck in my head, stuck in my mind, stuck in my heart. And those are the things that I think are good content.
You want people to feel joy. Nothing is more joyful than a second line. And like the way that they shot this, like this shot, and then here it comes, this one, this moment, this one here.
Yep.
And then they end it with our original character looking right at us like
Yep.
unapologetic, like
Yep.
I'm drinking Folgers and I've got the Folgers logo across my face right now.
But
And I'm
also
feeling
giving you
good.
permission. Yeah. And giving you permission to do it too. Like, it's okay. You don't have to be embarrassed. It's okay.
All right, now it's time for a small talk break. And so we're going to spin the wheel of small talk.
Oh my God.
Oh no, we got microbiology. All right, well, the only thing I know about microbiology really is that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
They're called powerhouses of cells.
And that is all I know.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
I mean, what else do you need to know?
All right. Successful small talk break. That's enough. Yeah. So this is one of a series of 3 shorts that were commissioned as part of this like documentary about the Scala cult cinema in London. The audio is like an actual employee telling a story of something that happened when they took magic mushrooms on the job.
Gotcha. Okay.
I remember one of my most embarrassing moments here, and I think I nearly lost my job over it. I was supposed to be in the ticket office selling tickets. One of the ushers was going to be coming in, and he was smoking mushrooms, and he handed me this thing with mushrooms in it. And the next thing I knew, the doors opened, and these monsters walked in, and Louis and I, both of us, because we hid underneath the desk. Do you remember this? And we hid underneath the desk. And both of us were like tentacles banging on the glass, wanting to buy tickets. And then I think we just basically gave away a whole pile of tickets to just get them away from us.
I thought it was cool for a few reasons. One, it was like just another way of doing lo-fi and like handmade that isn't just filming in crappy light in your apartment with an iPhone, even though you have the means and ability to do other things. It also emulates like the theater is known for these like B movies, midnight movies. And so to like capture the spirit of the B movie in this contemporary animation is pretty neat. You know, we've got this like Mars Attacks guy smoking a joint. I just love it.
So I think that the most amazing thing about being connected to content is when, on a personal level, the first thing I see, I'm like, oh my God, I love octopus. I love octopi. Like, I see an octopus, you put an octopus in anything, I'll watch it. Like, seriously, they're probably aliens. I've watched like documentaries that they're the smartest things on the planet. I've watched them like leave a tank and crawl across a room to get food on the other side and then come back. Like, it just is amazing to me. And so to immediately be confronted with this giant image of tentacles, and it's called tentacles, I immediately am like, oh, I'm so into this because of that personal connection I have. But I agree with you. What it really does, it is the perfect embodiment of what the theater and what the energy of the space is like. And so to have it big and then have all these little octopi as like with human heads, like, it's crazy. And you feel like you've experienced their trip, which is really hard to do, because when people tell you about their psychedelic experience, you're like, oh yeah, you thought like a big giant octopus was coming towards you. Okay. But to have that storytelling and this incredible visual sort of impact, it really brings you in. It really allows you to feel what they felt. And yeah, I get it. As you mentioned, it's this sort of handmade, like ripped paper, simply done visual sort of representation of it is also very meaningful, because you feel like it hasn't been sort of slicked with, you know, perfect sort of, you know, octopus or the perfect whatever. It's chopped up, it's weird, it's funky, and that's just like a trip. And it's a little fearful and it's a little weird, and at the end you're like, that was ridiculous and I loved it. Yeah, look at, I mean, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's some beautiful camera work.
And then we go into this like loop view of these mushrooms through the hallway. Yeah, these hallway shots are kind of nuts.
I know. And the light, you know, the lighting of that sort of like, yeah, I mean,
Is that a tooth in the middle? Like, what is that?
oh no.
I love it. Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so like, I love it. It's like a zine. It's like a zine from the 80s, you know, that sort of like early 80s kind of like, you know.
Yes. Xerox.
Yes. And sort of let's go make a magazine. I mean, I love that vibe and that energy. That's for me like authentic, you know?
Pro tip.
Well, I would say the first thing is don't be afraid of the rough edges if it is right for the story that you're telling. Like, you can tell that this is a picture that somebody printed out, cut out themselves, and lit with a light and filmed in front of a camera. Like, it's not a JPEG that's been imported into an After Effects composition and made to look like a piece of paper. It's the real deal.
But I also wonder if they had built a small set.
They must have, right? This filing cabinet is like a miniature that somebody made.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all a single light source here. Like, they probably have like one like shop clamp light shining down and hitting here, like whatever gets the job done. It's part of the vibe. And there's this warm light coming from back here, and you can see like the hairs on the plexiglass.
Yeah, those ripped tickets and the sort of whatever those sort of, you know, that row of flyers down there. I mean, those are details that are really important.
So there are rough edges, but it's so lovingly crafted and so
intentional,
yeah.
Like thoughtful. There's a lot of thought around it. He's so angry. And
that could be us.
It's hysterical too that at the end she's like, yeah, we just gave away tons of free tickets just to get them away from us. I wish that somebody who had been there on the other side could also sort of comment what it was like to sort of walk in and have somebody just hand them free tickets, like throw tickets at them. 100%.
Like, I feel like I've gotten a little taste of what it's like to be there, and it's not as though they've come in and said, here's our ticket booth and this is the history of blah blah blah, but like, I already know so much about this place just from this spot. Oh, plug your project.
I've started a magazine called Women in Weed, which got turned into a book called Women in Weed. Thank you, Simon & Schuster. And then created a short documentary called Cannabis and Creativity, which is hitting the festival circuit right now, winning some awards. And
the poster is going to be more laurels than image soon.
Oh, you know, it's kind of crazy. It never, you know, I woke up one morning and I was like, okay, I've been trying to get this off the ground for 5 years. I finally am going to do it. This is what I set out to do. I'm making a documentary. It's all about creativity and where it comes from. It's all about amplifying, supporting, using cannabis as a tool to get it done. Okay, great, got it done. And then I was like, oh, now what? Oh yeah, got to figure out how to get people to see it. So it's been hitting the festival circuit, and like you said, it's been racking up the laurels, and I'm surprised, but not really. I'm happy. But incredibly grateful, because part of the whole idea of doing this was to force people to start thinking differently. It's about a mind shift. You know, we're talking about the changing attitudes towards cannabis and legalization, all of that. But what I really want to sort of delve into is, shifting the cultural mindset of what the plant is all about and why it has been so demonized and has created such an incredible amount of a shitstorm, basically, trying to right that wrong. But that's a whole other video conversation.
Cool. And where's the next place that people can catch it? Where's its next run?
Well, we are part of the Queens Underground Film Festival here in New York, in Jamaica, Queens, in an incredible little space, which I went to go see a couple weeks ago for the premiere sort of the festival. And it's such an incredible energy over there in Queens, and all the filmmakers, indie filmmakers, self-funded filmmakers. It's really, the energy there is quite amazing. And I'm so happy that the film was accepted into that, the Queens Underground Film Festival.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining the Cool Content Club, Elana.
Okay, first of all, what is that background? Is it chicken wings?
It is chicken wings.
Okay, all's good.
Want to join the Cool Content Club? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Extra Crispy, 840 Broadway, 3rd floor, Brooklyn, New York, 11206. Or just comment on this video. The Cool Content Club is filmed before a live studio audience. No animals were harmed in the making of this Zoom call.
There's a lot of like short leg dog videos.
Interesting.
On Instagram. So
mine is the weirdly groomed Japanese poodles.